Ollie one time got a call from a very worried old lady. She said, Ollie, I think something terrible has happened. I said, speak up, ma'am, speak up, I can't quite hear you. She said, I don't want to speak up. I'm worried they'll hear me. I said, okay, hold on, let me get into a quieter place and I'll listen as best as I can. And he went into his bedroom, which was quieter. I said, okay, go ahead, ma'am. He said, well, I think there's been a murder. I said, okay, are you safe where you are? He said, I think so, but I want to stay quiet. I think one of my neighbors murdered someone. I said, oh, okay, that's very serious. What makes you think that? He said, well, I heard them say it. There was some arguing. It started off that there was laughing, but then it turned to arguing. And I heard some laughing in the middle too, but I don't know. But then I heard in a very loud voice, my neighbor, the guy, saying, it's a murder. And then there was some yelling, and he said, no, it's a murder. That's what it's called. It's a murder. I heard it. I remembered. I could never forget it now. I'm scared. I'm worried that he must have, I don't know, killed his wife or a house guest or someone. I'm terribly worried. I don't know what to do, so I called you. And I said, all right. Well, if you feel safe, you know what? I think you should just stay put. You can give me the address. You stay put. Is this an apartment building or a house or? I said, oh, it's an apartment building. Well, it's a townhouse, really. Or in townhouses, the walls are pretty thin. But yeah, it's here on St. Paul Street. I said, oh, okay, that's right near me. You just lock your doors, and I imagine you'll be safe, and I'll come investigate. Which house is it where you heard this? And she gave him the house number. It was that house to the north. So Ollie went over there. And he was just around the block. So it didn't take him long to get there. And as he came around the back, so he was going to try and sneak up and peek in the windows. But he looked around the front first. And there he saw a strange thing. Because out kind of in front of the house, on the sidewalk and in the street, and even across the street on the other sidewalk, there was just a huge number of crows. I looked more carefully and you could see that there were a bunch of, it looked like, it was birdseed, all I realized. It was a bunch of birdseed. Like someone had thrown or spilled 30, 40 pounds of birdseed. I thought, huh. That's weird. That's a lot of crows. But I don't know what that has to do with any of this. So Ollie went around back and tried to see if he could see where the people were. Now it was, at that time it was around dusk. Which is a pretty good time to go snooping because you can see through people's windows. So he could see, and people started to have the lights on then too. He could see that the lights were on in the second floor. It was a 4-story house. And the lights were on the second floor, not on other places. You could see that from the back and the front. So he climbed gingerly over the fence, climbed up and looked in the kitchen window. And he didn't see anybody. It was dark. So he climbed up to the second floor and he looked carefully in. And in that room, the lights were on and there was just somebody reading. The other window was into a bathroom and there was nobody in there. So Ollie climbed carefully up the wall further to the next 2 floors when they were dark on that side of the building. So he went over the top of the roof and came down the other side. A little bit riskier because there's more people that would see, an octopus climbing down the side of a building. Might draw their attention. But then again, he had the crows. And the crows would draw any attention, probably. If someone walking by the street, they'd be staring at all these weird crows. So Ollie got down, and then in the top floor in the front, there was a light on. And somebody reading, a teenager. And then Ollie went down to the second floor, there was a light on in the front there. And there were two people, two adults and a kid, maybe like 12 or so, watching TV. Well, the couple was watching TV, and the 12-year-old was on the computer. From where he was, being very careful not to be seen, Ollie could see that on the computer, the teen was reading about crows. And I thought, huh. No, what he didn't see in any of the rooms was anything that looked like a murder. There was no dead bodies, there was no blood, no knives, nothing of the sort. Nothing that indicated any kind of violence had happened. And it would have been no more than, I don't know, half an hour ago. There was no police. Everyone just seemed very calm, way more calm than you would think they'd be if somebody in that household had just murdered somebody. Just to be sure, Ollie looked down in the basement. And there wasn't really a light on down there, but there was a night light. And Ollie's got good eyes, and he didn't see anything down there that looked unusual either. So I went back up to the second floor. And the window was open a little bit, so he just listened. And the TV was on. It was just some, sitcom, some comedy. And after a while, the teenager flipped and was reading about other kinds of birds. Looked at sparrows and then geese. And when he was reading the geese a little bit, he turned around and looked right at his parents and said, "See, Dad, a lot of these birds have group names like this. I was just looking up about geese, and a bunch of geese is called a gaggle." Dad says, "A gaggle. I guess I've heard a gaggle of geese." Still seems weird that crows would have such a dramatic name in a group. Teen says, "I know. It didn't seem like it was real to me either when I first heard it, but I learned about it in school. A big group of crows is called a murder of crows. You have a herd of bison, a gaggle of geese, a murder of crows. It's just what it's called. I guess somebody thought they were mysterious and sinister and somehow got everybody else to call it that." Dad said, all right, I believe you. A group of crows is a murder of crows. It's a murder. I believe you now. Thanks for being persistent." Son said, "Yeah, oh, sure. Sorry if I yelled." Dad said, "Don't worry about it. I knew you weren't really angry." So Ollie climbed back down the wall. I said, "So, the crows were key to it at all." He went and he knocked on the lady's door and said, "Ma'am, it's Ollie the octopus, the detective you hired." And the lady peeked out the window and saw Ollie there, and it's pretty easy to tell when it's really Ollie because he looks like an octopus, because he's an octopus. And she let him in. "Is it safe?" I said, "It's safe. There's been no wrongdoing of any kind." "Okay, that's good. So what were they talking about? Why did they yell about murder then?" I said, "Yeah. Did you notice all the crows outside?" She said, I did. I'm so excited. It's so fun to see something like that." I said, "Yeah?" "Yeah. Yeah, earlier today, just, right before, I don't know, maybe 45 minutes before I called you, this truck got a flat tire right in front of the house here, and it spilled a bunch of birdseed, I guess. And, the guys took a little bit to put a spare tire on, and they drove away, but they just left all the birdseed there, and I wondered what was going to happen. And then, it couldn't be cooler. This big, huge group of crows came, and they've been munching away ever since. I said, yep, a big, huge group of crows. And do you know what a big, huge group of crows is called? She said, a flock? I said, nope, it's called a murder of crows. That's the name for a group of crows. They weren't yelling about a murder like a person killing another person. They were still talking about all these crazy crows. And the lady laughed, and Ollie laughed, and that was the mystery of the murder.